Have you ever heard of Rapa Nui? Come on, Easter Island. Well, you do remember its characteristic statues, the Moai. The Moai represented ancestral deities which provided health, fertility, food and fortune. While the myth said that they magically moved across the island on their own, they were actually moved by the inhabitants using complex frames made out of trees. The more Moais a tribe built, the more it gained respect and prestige. Through the years, they built over 887 statues until they stopped because they had run out of trees. With no wood to build tools and vessels and the fast extinction of many animals deprived of their habitat, the hungry inhabitants of Easter Island turned to cannibalism. How stupid were they, you might think? The truth is that our industrialized world hasn't behaved much smarter, and nowadays we are living in a very similar situation. Inhabitants of our planet still gather in tribes, now called nations, and nations are exploiting natural resources such as fuels or raw materials, and converting them into money, which guarantees to all the inhabitants health, fertility, food, fortune, and much more. Beyond the degradation of natural resources, the production process is causing global warming of the planet. During the last 50 years, carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere has grown over 20%, and this trend is not changing anytime soon. If no action will be taken, global warming will eventually lead to a drastic drop in food production in the next few decades. So, are we bound to extinction as Easter Island's inhabitants? Well, the ideal solution would be drastic and impossible. Stop polluting now. Is there any other valid solution? Maybe yes. Trees. It has been estimated that the world's forests compensate over 1/4 of annual carbon emissions, thanks to their ability to remove and store carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. But how is humanity treating forests? Not very well. From 1990 to 2005, humans consumed 195 million hectares of forest. That's 6 Italys and a half. Mamma mia! We are not only cutting down precious carbon stocks, but doing so, we emit 17.4% of total carbon dioxide. It's time to act like members of the same tribe, cooperating and helping each other in order to build an alliance to preserve health, fertility, food and fortune. Actually, we already started. In fact, in 2009, 42 nations founded RED, a financial system which uses monetary incentives from developed countries to pursue projects aiming to preserve forests and their carbon stock function in developing countries. Many nations already pledged large sums of money to the RED Fund, and the projects are starting all around the globe. There are big differences between the pledged amount and the ones already donated, as the program has just recently started, and as some donor nations want to gradually verify the effectiveness of projects before settling their full amount. The leading country in the RED program is Norway, which, with other European countries, represents 77% of the pledged money. Although RED might look like a wonderful idea, some questions inevitably arise. What really pushes these countries to donate all this money? Will the program actually serve its purpose? What are the possible consequences of these actions? By analyzing discussions related to RED on the internet, it's possible to reach a deeper understanding of this subject. A large network of selected websites representing governmental and non-governmental organizations, news sites and blogs served as a source for this research. Website localization shows that the discussion takes place mainly in Europe and in the US, while the Southern Hemisphere counts for just some sporadic spots, despite hosting the majority of RED's target areas. However, the speaking countries talk about the rest of the world. What do they talk about? All the topics discussed can be categorized in these areas: environmental, social, economical, and other. Each country has its own opinion. The 27 flags of the speaking countries were redesigned to match the tones of their RED discussion. By taking Brazil and Norway, its most generous funder, their flags show how similar their focus on discussion is. Could it mean they share common goals? Nevertheless, some global topics emerge. Leaving out the obvious ones, the most meaningful ones are biodiversity, indigenous peoples, and carbon finance. Why are these topics so frequently discussed? Let's take this one. Some think that RED, by protecting forests, will preserve their biodiversity as well. On the other hand, having as a primary goal the enhancement of forest carbon stocks, RED might encourage industrial tree plantations which will affect biodiversity. RED states that the engagement of local communities will be essential for the program to succeed. But what kind of engagement are they talking about? Local communities feel that they could be deprived of their freedom because RED projects will eventually tell them how to use their own land. A local leader once said, "When you say that I need permission to cut my own tree, I've lost my right to my land." But the real doubts about RED arise as carbon finance rolls out. By giving money to RED, donors actually gain carbon credits, which represent the permission to emit a certain amount of carbon dioxide inside their country and offset them elsewhere. In this way, RED doesn't encourage a stop in pollution, but in fact legalizes the emission of carbon dioxide. Are they just trying to turn the solution into profit? For all these reasons, many doubts may arise about the effectiveness of this program. It might not be the perfect solution, but it's a sign that our tribes are beginning to understand and are willing to face the problem they are living with. This is just the first step to patch up the problem our tribe created. The turning point of this resolution will only be reached when we realize that it's not the Moai of our society that brings us food, fertility and prosperity. It is only the earth and its resources that do.